GLM5 plus Kimi K2.5, Minimax M2.5 is insane. Open source AI just changed everything you've been paying a fortune for AI tools. You've been told you need the most expensive models to get real results. You've been overspending every single month while better options were being built in the background. And now those options are here. 3 open source models just dropped that are genuinely competing at the top of the leaderboards. I'm going to break all of them down today, show you what they can actually do, and tell you exactly how to access them. Let's get into it. For a long time, if you wanted frontier level AI performance, you basically had 2 choices: pay Anthropic, OpenAI, or Google for access to their top models, or settle for open source alternatives that were noticeably worse. That deal just got flipped on its head. In the past month, we've had 3 major open weight model releases genuinely competing at the very top of the leaderboards. Kimi K2.5 from Moonshot AI, GLM Five from Zhipu AI, and Minimax M2.5 from Minimax. All 3 have their weights publicly available on Hugging Face, can be used via API or self-hosted, and cost a fraction of the top closed models. One thing all 3 share is a mixture of experts architecture. Instead of running all their parameters on every task, they only activate a small portion per inference. That's what keeps compute costs low, even at massive scale. I'll cover the specifics as we go. Let me start with Kimi K2.5. Kimi K2.5 was released on January 27th, 2026 by Moonshot AI. It's a 1 trillion parameter MOE model with 32 billion active parameters and a 256,000 token context window, the largest of the 3 today. What makes it immediately stand out is that it's natively multimodal. It handles both images and text, which is still rare in the open weight space. GLM Five and Minimax M2.5 are both text only, so if your workflows involve analyzing screenshots, processing diagrams, or working with visual documents, Kimi K2.5 is the only one of these 3 that covers that. It supports both instant mode and thinking mode and works across conversational and agentic use cases. On the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, a composite benchmark across reasoning, knowledge, math, and coding, Kimi K2.5 scored 47. Pricing is 0.60 per million input tokens and 3 ozounds per million output tokens, modified MIT license. Now GLM Five, which is currently the top scoring open weight model on independent benchmarks. Released February 11th, 2026 by Zhipu AI, 744 billion total parameters, 40 billion active, nearly double the scale of its predecessor, GLM 4.5. Context window is 200,000 tokens input with up to 128,000 tokens output. GLM 5 was built specifically for agentic engineering. Long, multi-step autonomous tasks, complex software builds, back-end systems, terminal operations. This isn't a chat model, right? It's designed to actually complete projects. On SWA Bench Verified, the coding benchmark tested against real GitHub issues. GLM 5 scored 77.8, the highest among open weight models, approaching Claude Opus 4.5 in software engineering. On Terminal Bench 2.0, it scored 56.2. AI's benchmarks show those 2 scores combined put it ahead of Gemini 3 Pro in overall software engineering performance. On the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, GLM 5 scored 50, the first open weight model ever to hit that mark on their v4.0 index, up from GLM 4.7's 42. It also recorded the lowest hallucination rate of any model they tested, a 56 percentage point reduction versus GLM 4.7. That matters a lot in autonomous workflows where reliability is everything. One more thing worth noting, GLM 5 was trained entirely on Huawei Ascend chips, not NVIDIA GPUs. It's the clearest signal yet that frontier-level AI can be built without Western semiconductor hardware. Pricing is around $1 per million input tokens and $3.20 per million output tokens. Available on ZAI, Hugging Face, OpenRouter, and Llama MIT license. Minimax M2.5 has a completely different story, where GLM 5 wins on reasoning depth, M2.5 wins on speed and cost. And the price here is genuinely extraordinary, released February 12th, 2026. 230 billion total parameters, only 10 billion active per forward pass. It comes in 2 variants, standard at 50 tokens per second and lightning at 100 tokens per second. At lightning speed, you can run this model continuously for roughly $1 an hour. At $1.20 per million output tokens, 360,000 tokens an hour comes to under $1 in output costs. That changes the entire math on what's worth automating. On SWE Bench Verified, M2.5 scored 80.2%, Claude Opus 4.6 scored 80.8%, a gap of just 0.6 percentage points at roughly 1/20th of the cost. On multi-SWE bench, coding across multiple repositories, M2.5 ranked first at 51.3%, ahead of Opus 4.6's 50.3%. On the Berkeley function calling leaderboard for multi-turn tool use, M2.5 scored 76.8%, 13 points above Opus 4.6. It was trained using Minimax's Forge reinforcement learning framework across over 200,000 real-world environments, code repos, browsers, and Office apps. That Office productivity angle is unique here. M2.5 was specifically trained on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint workflows, making it useful well beyond pure coding tasks. One caveat: previous Minimax models had documented issues with benchmark reward hacking. Independent verification of M2.5 is still ongoing, so test it on your own tasks before fully committing. Context window is 204,800 tokens with up to 128,000 output tokens. Modified MIT license, available on Hugging Face, Minimax's API, Silicon Flow, and OpenRouter. So here's how to think about which one to use: GLM 5 for complex reasoning, agentic engineering, and accuracy critical workflows. Top open weight model on independent benchmarks right now, lowest hallucination rate tested. Minimax M2.5 when cost and throughput are the priority. Frontier adjacent coding performance at a fraction of the price with Office productivity training the others don't have. Kimi K2.5 when you need multimodal. Only one of these three that handles image input, largest context window, solid reasoning capability. The gap between open weight and closed models is now thin enough on specific tasks that using them makes real sense. Claude Opus 4.6 is still excellent for deep reasoning and nuanced writing. But for coding, agentic tasks, and high volume work, you have genuine alternatives now. Knowing how to route the right work to the right model is a real skill worth developing.